Hey y'all, and welcome back to a new video. Today we're going to be looking at a chess game that I played a couple of days ago in my most recent tournament, where what ended up happening is that I made a pretty horrible mistake, where I thought I was doing very well, and some terrible things happened. Alright, let's get into the chess. My opponent starts off the game with e4, I go c6, my opponent goes d4, and I play the move d5, ed5, and cd5. Oh, one more thing. The ratings you see below are our USCF ratings, not chess.com ratings, so around like 400 points lower than chess.com. And we have an hour and a half on the clock each. All right. Sorry, I can't put clocks here. They don't save them for this. Other way, my opponent goes bishop d3. I go with the move knight to c6, c3, knight f6, h3, and I decide to play the move e6, which is a totally fine line in this position. Basically just saying, okay, well, I know that this light squared bishop is bad, but that's the point of kind of h3. Like, he's arguing that the light squared bishop is bad, and I didn't want to go for this e5 line since I didn't really know it that well, and I don't like giving myself these IQPs early on in the game. So I decided not to do that. e6, my opponent goes knight f3, and I play the move bishop d6, castles, castles, rook e1, and I play queen to c7, which is a pretty decent move. The idea is that my opponent wants to put his knight here, and I want to play the move e5, right? Now he can't put his knight here, my knight defends it, and with the extra pieces, I'm able to disallow my opponent from forking my two pieces here, which is not bad. And after queen c7, the main idea for black is to play e5 at some point, open up this light squared bishop, and just have a pretty interesting attacking game, even with this isolated queen pawn that can happen in many positions. Either way, queen to c7, bishop e3. I play h6 after a little bit of think, because I thought that in some positions, I want to bring this knight back to the d7 square to assist with playing e5, so that my knight can take, and then I can get a knight in the center after takes and takes. But if I did that right away, for example, if I play knight d7 here, I lose the game pretty much immediately, I thought. I guess not. I thought this was really bad for me. Thought this was like just a Greek gift. Right? Like, isn't this... Oh, king g8. Oh, and after here, just go knight f6. Huh. No, that would be smart. But, I mean, I guess I wasn't playing too well this game or something. But for some reason, I thought that there was like some line where like there's a Greek gift that was working. And I was just afraid for that, like in general. So h6 just seemed like a good move. Also defends this square just permanently, which is nice. So h6, I guess it's the best move. Not for the reason why I thought, but I just thought that it was a decent idea. My opponent goes bishop d2. And now I make my first mistake of the game. Here, I should have played in a different line, in a different way. There's a couple of ways here to play with black. The one that I was really hell-bent on going for was this move e5. I should have played rook e8 if I wanted to go e5. Because the move that I played just doesn't work. The other idea is to play the move b6 and a5 and bishop to a6 to get my left bishop out this way. I knew of this idea, but I wasn't really thinking of it at the time, so I mean, I just didn't go for this. I played the move knight d7 here, which is not a good move. Going backwards is normally incorrect, but I thought, okay, well, knight d7, if I can draw arrows, knight d7 is a good move because, well, I'm facilitating this move. I want my knight in the center, which is what I already said, and I think that, like, well, this is not that bad. Oh, 1 second, sorry. I have my engine up a little bit too high. Should be on this. Still get a decent amount of depth, but, like, a little bit too high for recording. Either way, yeah, I thought knight e7 made a lot of sense, but I guess it doesn't because my opponent, and I saw this line, my opponent could play rook to c1. I thought I would have to play e5. My opponent plays c4. I would play e4, takes, 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 takes. And I thought that this position was like not the worst thing in the world, but I guess it is. I guess this pawn is just way too weak, and this pawn is also a weakness in like all feature lines, which makes sense. But I don't know why I evaluated this incorrectly. This is actually not that hard to evaluate. I just completely missed this actually. Maybe knight c4, bishop a6, knight d6 takes, takes. like this position, but like even here, right? Like if we're looking at the position, this pawn is horribly weak. This pawn is also like pretty weak in the long run. No, I should have evaluated this the other way. But either way, my opponent didn't play rook c1. He instead played knight f1, which makes sense in like some e4 positions, which I'm sure my opponent was like reasonable with. Since he plays e4 on move 1, I'm sure that he knew what how this little reroute was, but like here it doesn't really work since my bishop just defends, right? I still can't draw arrows. Here it doesn't really work since my bishop defends and my queen defends, and then I'm actually doing quite well. But in some lines I thought, okay, maybe he wants to go here, maybe he wants to go here, maybe he wants to move this knight and like he doesn't want this to be a check. But all in all, I didn't think knight f1 was a very good move, and I thought it kind of gave me another move to work with instead of rook c1. So I was like, okay, well, if you're not playing rook c1 now, this makes it so that I don't have to play e5 immediately. I can play another preparatory move. So I played the move rook to d8, which I thought made a lot of sense. Just saying, okay, now I want to play e5. I want to play e5, right? Takes, 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 takes. And now at the end of the line, I'm going to be able to push this pawn forward in some variations. I'm going to play bishop c5. I'm going to try and go after your light squared bishop, and this pawn is always going to be defended by this rook opening up against the pawn. And I was like, okay, well, that actually doesn't seem too bad, but it's also just not a good move. My opponent can go for rook c1 again now, but here, actually, I just don't have to do anything. Like, I can play a6, for example, and after c4, I simply take, and actually, black is not doing badly at all. Black is actually almost better here. Because white has the bad pawn now, right? But instead, my opponent shocked me. My opponent here played a move that I was completely unaware of. Completely unaware of. My opponent played this very, very interesting move. Queen to c1. And this was, I mean, oh my god. Like, queen to c1. Why not queen e2? Queen d2, sorry. Queen d2 made more sense to me than queen c1, because queen c1, I mean, you're still in the way of your rooks, but of course the idea like kind of shows itself. My opponent is trying to take on h6. If I give him a move, this is like terrifying. This is terrifying. Oh my god, look at this. My opponent's getting all of his pieces into my king. He's immediately threatening like some like sort of mates here with like bishop to h7 check, and I mean, like, by a human standpoint, this is very, very scary. From a computer standpoint, nothing is scary, but, you know, I mean, I don't want to play like this. I don't want to be in this position. My opponent already has 2 pawns for the piece, and it's, like, about to get worse. I have to play knight f8 here if I want to survive. And it's just a real nightmare. So I thought, okay, I got to do something quick. I got to do something efficiently here. I can try for this move f5, which I was considering, but I was unsure if like now was the time to do it, because in many lines my opponent doesn't care. Here, like he can some lines like take, and like put the knight here and like go for some mate. Here it doesn't really work because my queen is able to open up immediately with knight f8. But I thought this move f5 was kind of for later, and I shouldn't do it right now. So I instead played a move that I thought, okay, this makes a lot of sense. I played the move knight f8. Right, I mean, okay. My opponent takes here, I mean, the queen comes in, there's no mate ever, and this move is next, right? And life is good. Life is good for me if you're black here. So after queen c1, knight f8, my opponent doesn't take. My opponent knows what he's doing. He doesn't take. He instead plays the move knight 1 h2, and is already worse after like 15 moves. Knight h2, knight 1 h2 is not a good move, but it's not a good move for a very, very specific reason. One that I just kind of didn't believe in, and I'll tell you why. The main idea here for black, right? I still want to play e5. I still really want to play e5 to open up this light squared bishop to get all my pieces in the game. But I didn't think now was the time. I didn't think now was the time for e5, because after takes, my opponent can get the knight up to f3, right? And after bishop d6, now I just have an isolated pawn, and my opponent has all of their pieces developed, while I only have like one. Maybe this one is like about to be developed, but he doesn't have any like good squares to land on, right? So I don't want to do that. And if this guy's not developing, then this rook isn't developing, and this knight is like barely here. It's only like, it's like a I don't know. It's like a phantom knight, right? Like it's kind of a knight, but it's just defending my king. It's just defending my king. That's all it's good for. It's not like actually like doing anything in the position. Like if I could, I like to just teleport this knight up to this square, but of course that's impossible. Yeah, there's some issues here. So I didn't go for e5 right away, and I thought, okay, my next big idea is I still want to attack my opponent's king. Seeing as I've got like all my pieces pointing in at this direction, I'm able to get my knight up to g6 and like in quickly. So I was like, okay, well, and also this knight is able to come back around. So I'm like, well, everything is looking for an attack here. I have a very, very interesting idea. This is a move that I was going to play anyway. I play the move f5 after a decent bit of thought. And the point is, okay, well, first of all, I'm opening up my queen to over here, so there's never this. This is always really, really bad now because my queen is able to slide over to this, to the g7 square, more importantly, and do some good work. And the other point is, of course, I'm blocking the light squared bishop. And the other point is that I might play f4 in the future. And now it's kind of getting dicey for my opponent. It was a problem for me earlier, but now look at my opponent. He's starting to feel the heat. And it makes a decent bit of sense here. But, of course, there's still issues. My opponent thinks for a while and plays an extremely, extremely combative move. My opponent plays g4. Oh, by the way, the best move there is f6. Just going for e5 with 2 pawns in the center and also opening up for the queen. I didn't consider this move at all. Point is that I thought, okay, well, is this really what I want? I thought that my opponent could go c4, and I was just unsure if this was like good for me, since this diagonal is opening up to my king, and normally you just don't want that. So I just didn't believe in f6 at all, like at all. But anyway, f5, g4, pounding at my position and really making me have to think here, because g4 is very, very aggressive. The point of g4 is that my opponent wants to go g5. He just wants to keep pushing. Right, he just wants to keep pushing. He wants to get in my position, get in my face, and be like a horrible, horrible nuisance, like my aunt on Thanksgiving. But it's actually very, very bad for him, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't have like a big attack here, his king is super weak. My king is nicely cozied up with all the knights around it and these nice pawns, but his king, he's got these guys kind of hanging around. They're doing a little bit of work, but not exactly. And he just pushed forward like his main defense. Now he just has these 2 stupid pawns to defend him, and it doesn't really look correct. It doesn't really look correct. Just from a visual standpoint, this doesn't look correct. So I was like, well, what do I want to do to attack him? I want to bring my pieces over to the king side, right? So the first step of doing that, I need to bring my queen over here. Queen f7, right? This also defends the pawn, and this also like maybe prepares for f4 in the future. So I'm like, okay, well, I play queen f7. Not the best move. Knight g6 is better here. So many inaccuracies this game, but queen f7. Point is that, okay, well, now my queen is coming over here. I'm going to be targeting the king, and there's going to be issues, and I'm still going to play the move e5. e5 is still on the cards. If bishop f4, I'm going to play f takes g4. Bishop takes g6. I'm thinking about g takes f3, right? Look at this. His opponent's king is like dead here, and in all honesty, it's crazy that black is not better. It's crazy that black is not better. Black is even up a pawn here, but black is not better, because after queen f4, takes, this pawn is going to be lost. And there's actually just nothing I can do. e5 is something. Bishop takes, knight takes, pawn takes. Not pawn takes, sorry. Oh, I guess pawn takes is the best move. Rook takes makes more sense to me. Oh, but I guess if rook takes, then there's like some problems in the future with knight g6. Okay, well then pawn takes. Bishop takes h3 and taking this pawn. This is like a sample line here. After knight e6, like, can you really look at this position and say white is better? I can't. My opponent's king is super open. He's got this weak pawn, and my rooks have nice files. Like, they're gonna come here and here. Maybe they're gonna double up over here like this, and like, I don't know how I'm gonna bring my other rook in, but I'll do it somehow because I'll figure it out. But that doesn't happen because we're not like engines, and my opponent decided not to play bishop f4. He said played a much worse move. A much worse move. Speaking of bad moves, my opponent had a decreed 10 mistakes this game. 10 orange question marks, which is a little bit insane for an hour-and-a-half long game. Well, a 3-hour long game. This game took 3.5 hours to finish. But yeah, he has a lot of mistakes this game, and a lot of them are very, very difficult to exploit. For example, the next move he plays king to g2. King g2 is bad. It's just not a good move. Bishop takes h2 is really good because after king takes h2, fg4 is just winning for me, and after knight back, I can just play e5. Okay, I didn't really understand this. Bishop takes f5, takes knight g4. Like, this isn't that good, I guess. Okay. I mean, even when we're like at here, like this is, my opponent's threatening bishop takes h6. Like e4, bishop takes h6. Come on. What are you doing? The point is, of course, if takes. Check, right? Oops. But, I mean, what in the world? This is just completely winning. Bishop takes h6. I just play knight e6. And black is winning. You know what? Whatever. I don't know. I have no idea how like the computer is able to evaluate this as much better for black. I guess my opponent's king's just way too weak. But like, I mean, come on, seriously? This is what we're doing? This is crazy. This is crazy stuff here. I don't know. Either way, I didn't find that because I'm not a computer, and I got scared of king g2 because it shows immediately my opponent's trying to do. He's trying to put the rook on the h file, and he's trying to like come down with like this and open up the rook and like checkmate me. So like, if with like a human intention here, this is not an easy position to play at all. But I managed to actually play a very decent move after a lot of thought. I'm thinking about everything here. I'm thinking about taking here. I'm thinking about e5. Thinking about e5. There's one line that I considered, which was the move c4 in some positions, opening up this line to my king, which is just very scary. I'm thinking about e5, but I didn't like e5 that much after d takes d, takes. There's this move bishop takes h6. I would have to play knight g6, and in this position, I just have to evaluate that the position is equal because my opponent's king is so weak. Even though my opponent still has moves like not queen g5. Sorry, queen g5. There would be like, I mean, I would think this move, right? Nope, not that because of the rook here. And he would lose. Actually, sorry, he would lose like this. Yeah, I mean, you can take here because the rook opens up, by the way, if you're wondering. But I didn't believe this. I also thought about this move first. Knight takes g4, and then I play for like e5 after knight to g6, and then e5. But I didn't really believe this either. For example, come on, bishop takes h6 still exists. I mean, I didn't evaluate this as that good for me. After here, knight 1 h2, I didn't think this was that good. Still can't take because of this fork, winning the game on the spot. And I mean, the position is very difficult to play. The position is very difficult to play, and I'm not able to do it justice. I'm simply not able to do it justice. After king g2, I kind of freak out, and I actually do play one of the best moves in the position. I play knight g6. For a long think, I got a little bit too scared of all these complications with takes, and all this. So I played knight g6 because I'm like, okay, knight g6 is probably what I have to do. It's a developing move. It makes sense. It's the best move in the position, which is funny. I didn't think it was the best move. But either way, g5. I think for a little bit, I play a pretty decent move. I play h5. And the point is that, okay, well, my opponent's idea with g5 is that if I take, I lose, right? Here, queen. If I go here, like this is already game over after f4, and he's just clamping down on me, and this is just completely lost. So I'd have to like run my queen away. Queen c7 is the only move here. Knight hf3, I guess it's to prevent f4, right? Knight hf3, and I mean, I don't have to calculate here. Like this is obviously bad for black. This is just terrible. So I don't want to do that, and I have to play something else. The other line that actually works here is the move e5, which is very, very, very strong. The idea is after takes, oh, sorry, not that knight. This knight takes e5, bishop c2. I have this idea of f4, which is also very, very cool. Bishop takes f4. I have knight d3. And complications. This is not easy to see. This is not easy to see, even if you spend like 10 minutes on a move. Even if you spend like 20 minutes on the move, this isn't even easy to see. Isn't even easy to see why you have to take with a G knight instead of the C knight. Like, I don't get that either. But whatever. Whatever, I guess. Instead, I played h5 because I thought, well, now this pawn is kind of weakness, and after the move h4, then the h4 pawn is kind of a weakness, and then we look at it, and then I get the move e5. That's what I calculated. I thought, okay, then I get e5, then I'm better, and then I love my life. That's pretty good, right? h4, play it on the board. He has to go with the move, he actually just has to, like, just kind of relax. He has to kind of just sit. He either plays a4, I guess, or like king g1. Like, I don't even understand that. But either way, h5. My opponent goes h4, solidifying this pawn and like stopping me from playing h4 because that's one of my ideas. And then I'm making this pawn super weak. So he plays h4, and now I simply play what I've been meaning to play this entire game. e5 on the board. And here I calculated a line. Calculated a line before I played e5. And this is where the video gets its title. I do something very stupid here. e5 is not a bad move on its own. It's actually a very good move on its own. In fact, I can do better. I can play like rook e8. That's the best move. It's minus 1.5. e5, it's minus 1.2. But what I calculated was that after e5, my opponent would take with the pawn. I would take that with this knight. My opponent would take here. I would give this intermezzo check by taking this pawn. My opponent would come to h2. I would take the knight. My opponent would take my knight, and I would take this knight. If my opponent didn't take my knight, if my opponent like moved this knight over, or if my opponent like didn't even touch it and I just kept it there, then I always have this idea of f4 opening up my light square bishop to have like some sort of attack on the king with like a mating attack. And I thought that was really strong. I thought it was really cool how I could just leave the knight hanging, and then I would have this attack on this other knight, and my opponent didn't really have anything to do about it. But the issue is that after e5, this doesn't work at all. This doesn't work at all. D takes e5, knight c takes e5, knight takes e5, and you might now realize why knight takes h4 is a bad move. Let's just put it on the board here. You might realize why knight takes h4 is not a good move. It's because after king to g3, or king here, either way, I thought king to g3 was kind of worse because I get this check in. But after king g3, which is what he plays in the game, I can't take the knight. I simply can't take the knight. After I take the knight, my opponent can play f4, which is not the correct move, by the way. In fact, this is the best line. And then he play f4 now. Didn't see that, but I just saw f4 right away. Here. And two pieces hang. And this is not good. This is not good. There's a very small way for me to like survive here. King f3. I play bishop to f5. Like, this is what the computer wants, but I'm down a full piece. I can't do that. I can't do any of that. So what I do here after king to g3, I just realize my opponent has f4. I completely missed f4. I don't know how I missed f4. The way I missed it is because while calculating this line, my opponent's knight is here blocking the f-pawn. So I just didn't believe that it was a move to be played. And for some reason, I just like completely blanked on it. I completely just blindness, I guess. But either way, after king to g3, I have to think, well, and I thought bishop takes e5 was not a good move. I thought bishop takes e5 was not a good move because of f4, so I played in a different style. I played the move knight to g6. And the point is that, okay, my opponent can't take me. Obviously, the queen isn't hanging due to this being a pin, right? And I'm like, well, at the end of the day, I'm going to be able to survive. I'm going to have like 2 pawns for the piece or something. And then I'm going to maybe be able to like draw. At the very least, I might be able to draw. I might be able to win either, but like probably the draw is what I have to go for now. My opponent plays the move that I thought he was going to play. Plays f4. But for some reason, this completely loses all of his advantage because of a line that I showed earlier. Bishop takes e5, f takes e5, and the only move I have to be able to make this equal is f4 takes f3, king f3, bishop f5. You can't take because this is actually losing. I didn't see this. I didn't see any of this line, actually. I thought f4 just lost the pawn, and I calculated here, but I just thought, well, what is he doing? I don't get it. I don't get why this is so good for me. So I didn't want to go for that. Oh, let me show you the full line. Sorry. Queen takes f5 would be winning, so he can't take. He has to play the only move e6. Bishop to e4 check. Takes. Rook takes e4. Queen to f5, and then the move knight to g4 is the only way for white to keep advantage. Rook d3, knight e3, and this position. And this is good for me because of rook f8. Yeah, okay, I can see it, and it doesn't even end there. Knight e7 is the only move for white to play, but like, come on, come on. That's impossible to see. That's impossible to see from a distance, so I didn't see that, and I instead played knight takes e5. Sue me. Whatever. Knight takes e5. And I'm losing, but I have 2 pawns for the piece. And 2 pawns for the piece are not the most lost thing in the world. I might be able to draw this if I'm really lucky, and I'm like really tactical. So let's see. Bishop to c2. Rook to f8. Because of course I'm trying to play the move f4 in some lines. I'm trying to go knight g6 f4 and like pick up this bishop. Maybe he'll blunder that. I don't know. He doesn't have the most amount of time on the clock at this point, if I remember correctly. He has like, I think he had like 15 minutes versus my like 35 or something. So I mean, that's good for me. Bishop to f4, knight to g6. Of course, it's the only move. I'm playing very fast, by the way, at this point, because I'm trying to put pressure on him on the clock and on the board. Queen to e3. I go bishop to d7 very quickly. I know it's the only thing I have to do. Bishop d7, I'm simply developing my bishop. I'm trying to get my rook over here. Life is good. Well, life is very bad, but you know, I'm trying to do something. And there's always issues. If, for example, if my opponent plays bishop to d3, he completely loses, right? Come on. This is actually just winning for me at this point. Takes. This is bad. No, I have to take the knight, and this isn't the only winning line. What about, no, rook f1, I guess there's like h4, right? Okay, I don't even know. Oh, I guess I'm threatening h4 anyway because the queen is in a forkable position. That's nice. Either way, bishop d7, my opponent goes queen to d4, and I'm praying that my opponent is going to miss something and I am going to be able to win the game. I play the move b6, which I just thought I had to play. I'm stopping any queen to c5. I'm stopping any like infiltration with like the bishop and the queen and like getting after my pieces. I don't want any of that garbage. And I want to play rook to c8, so I'm defending my a6 pawn. The other move that I was thinking about is a6, but I didn't like this because now the queen has full dominion over these dark squares, and I'm like, why am I going to do that? I'm going to be more like a thorn. Rook a to d1. I try to be very tricky. I try to be very tricky here, and I thought that I was doing a good job. I'm not. I'm never doing a good job. Bishop to c6 is what I have to play. I just have to defend the pawn. But instead, I'm like, okay, I'm going to be really tricky here. He's not going to see my idea. I'm going to be so smart. I'm going to play rook a to c8. Super tactical move. I'm so smart. Yeah, I'm so smart. Rook a to c8. And the point is that I thought taking was losing because after check, my opponent can't go here to do a pin from the bishop, winning the queen, right? Which is why I played rook to a to c8. And if my opponent goes anywhere else, then I'm just going to like win the bishop, right? And then I'm going to win the bishop, and life is good, and I'm going to win the game, and I'm going to do great. I'm going to do great things. It's going to be awesome. But for some reason, stupid little me forgot that after queen takes d5, h4, king f2, knight takes f4, my opponent has queen takes d7. And this all happened. And now it's just losing. Now it's just completely lost. Nothing to do. There's nothing I can do now. But, well, the game still goes on. I still have to be a little bit tricky. I was very, very disappointed that I missed this, which is just sad. And I kind of went a little crazy. If I played queen h5, I might have a chance here. I might have a chance here. I'm attacking this pawn. I'm able to get some stuff in on my opponent's king is kind of weak. There might be like a universe where I'm able to like get some counterplay going. But instead I take on a2 because I'm like, okay, I need the pawns. I have to do something quick here. And after the move rook to e7, there's just nothing I can do. My opponent's like mating me, or I'm trading queens. There's no in between. There's no in between here. And after knight h5, the reason why he's trading queens is queen d5. My knight was controlling that square, controlling all the queen trade spots, and my knight has to move to defend my king. So now my opponent's able to trade queens, and this is just game over. But for some reason, I decided to keep playing. Why do I decide to keep playing? Because why not? You know, why not? It's not like that lost, and I might be able to make a draw here. I still might be able to make a draw. My opponent's only up 1 point of material. It's anything is possible, really. So I go knight f4. My opponent goes rook dd7, and I try to go for tricks. If I go with this move knight to h5, my opponent has bishop d1, and I'm losing the knight, or I'm getting checkmated. So I'm not doing that. And instead of that, I realized, okay, well, I have to do something drastic now. I play rook fd8, which is the only move I thought, but now there's a clear M on the evaluation. The point of this move is that I'm getting out of the checkmate threat while also trying to play a rook trade and get my rook into his position, and my knight is no longer that much of a nuisance. Rook takes g7, king to f8, rook gf7? That doesn't seem right. I go king to g8 now. Actually, it's actually very easy to mate me here. Here, king e8, and then bishop a4. This is very, very simple. Takes, rook d7. Yeah, I mean, like, this is not hard to find, but he doesn't find it, which is lucky. He goes rook gf7. I go king back to g8. If I go this way, it's mate in 1. Don't want to blunder mate in 1. So I go king back to g8, and my opponent plays bishop takes f5. And now there's no mate on the evaluation. I am down 3 points of material, but I might be able to hold this. Takes, rook c5, bishop to g4. I can take this pawn, but then I will lose this one, and I thought that wasn't very smart. Yes, I can play this move. I can play this move and grab this pawn, but I didn't like this position simply because my pawns are too far apart, and I thought that wasn't enough. I just thought that wasn't enough. Not to mention, actually, he can play king e3 first. He can play king e3 first, hitting my knight, and then I don't get this square, and then I just lose my a7 pawn. So yeah, I didn't go for this. Instead I played a5. My opponent goes rook to d4. I play knight back to g6, putting some defense on this pawn, and I'm still going after this pawn. Bishop to h5. I could have taken on g5, but I didn't like this. I thought this was easily lost, because after takes, my opponent has to move rook to g4. I'm trading the rooks, and yeah, it doesn't take a super genius to be able to win this position with white, simply because my opponent has too many pawns. I'm sorry, not too many pawns. My opponent has an extra knight, and yeah, he's gonna clean up, he's gonna win. So we don't want that. Instead, I played rook f5. My opponent goes king to e1, and then I put my knight on f4, hitting the bishop and trying to play some like weird checks over here, and maybe I'm able to do something interesting. Bishop to g4. I get a little bit stupid. I play knight to g2. My opponent goes king d1, and I have to take on g5. But after the move bishop f3, I'm trading rooks. And this is basically it. This is it. And at this point, I should probably resign. But I keep playing on. Knight e3, king d2. I go rook to e5. My knight was trapped, so I have to defend my knight. Rook to e4, and we trade the rooks. Knight takes e5. Now, what my opponent has to do to win, he has to go bishop to d5, make sure that my king has a hard time getting in. He's going to win this pawn, and then he's going to go with these pawns. That's it. That's it. GG. But he doesn't do that. King d2, king f7. He still has to play this move bishop here, and then he's doing very well. b3, and now my king is able to get closer, and now he can't play that move. And now maybe there's a chance, because if the pawns are all traded and my opponent is left with a piece, he's not able to mate me. He's not able to mate me at all, and my opponent keeps making mistakes. King e3, I play the move b5, the only move in the position. The point is that I want to play a4. I'm trying to make some counterplay with my remaining pawns left. Knight to g4, and I'm actually better. I'm actually better here. I'm actually better because after knight takes f3, king takes f3, a4, my opponent can't take, because this is lost. This is a lost position. And if my opponent comes back with a knight f2 is wrong, sorry. Knight e3, ab3, knight d1. My king is able to walk up, and my opponent has nothing. The opponent has to go knight b2, and then this is a draw. This is a draw. Knight d3, draw. Also, it can be lost very quickly, by the way. It can be lost very quickly. Ooh, sorry. Very quickly. It can be lost very, very quickly. My king is walking in. I'm promoting. See, this is not over, but I miss it, and I play knight f7. Whatever. Knight f7. King at d6, and now I'm not able to get another chance, except I get another chance, and I'm able to make a draw after knight e6. Knight e6 is a draw. Knight e6 is a draw. but I miss it again. But I miss knight e6 again, and I play a4 because why not? I have to do something. B takes a4. B takes a4. c4, and I'm able to make an almost draw again. Knight e6. Bishop takes e6, and it's a draw. And it's a draw. But I still lose. King to c3. I have one move and one move alone to be able to draw this game. That's king to e5. King to e5 draws the game. Well, because my opponent is unable to go win the pawn, able to come here. And the difference between that and the move that I played, which is king d6, is that after king to b4, I don't have this move, and then I lose. And this is what happens. Plus 70. Yeah, the rest of this game, I should have probably resigned, but I still play on. One last trick. Knight f4. Takes. He's able to do this. For example, if he gave this check, now after king to c8, and this is a stalemate. This is what I was going for. But instead, he knows how to play this. Knight f4. Gives up the pawn. Now I have to play another move. And I play king to a8. This is my last trick. This is a stalemate. Last thing that I can do. But my opponent doesn't do that. King to c7, and I resign. And that was a game that I played. That was not a good game. That was a very bad game. But like all bad things, it comes to an end. And that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys found this entertaining, instructive, all of the above. If you did, remember to like, subscribe, do all the things YouTubers tell you to do. And yeah, that's it. Good evening and good night.